Well, welcome everybody to today's presentation. I am Dale with Realvolve, and joining me today is Treasure Davis from Colorado Springs. And we're going to learn all about Treasure in just a minute. But for those of you that are watching live, feel free to ask questions. John is monitoring the chat. He's going to be answering any questions that you might have. And today I'm in Denver, Colorado in our Realvolve studios. Treasure is down in Colorado Springs and could not be live today. We were just chatting before we got started here that we need to have her in here in person to do this again sometime soon. But Treasure, you and I don't know each other. This is the first time we've talked. And so I've heard a lot about you for the last probably year. I've heard tons about you. Number one, I live in Colorado Springs, so I already knew who you were before because you do such a great job in your real estate business. I've heard about you for years now. So for those listening, tell us a little bit about you. I mean, how long you've been in real estate? Maybe give us a little brief history on how you got here today.
Yes. So I am native to Colorado Springs, although I did not grow up here. I grew up in Kansas City, so I am still mourning the loss of a really amazing game last night with the Patriots. The Patriots are an amazing team. It was a great game. But at the very end, I was like, I'm not strong enough for this game. I am not strong enough for this game. But it was a really great game. I'm from Kansas City. And then I went to nursing school when I was in high school. And then I came out for the summer to visit my parents in Salida. Ended up meeting my husband at 17. Kind of did a course of life that we were not expecting. And then we were working 4 jobs. Thank you, Allie. We were working 4 jobs in Salida to make a living because it's a mountain town and it's a resort town and everybody wants to live there. And my father-in-law was selling real estate in Colorado Springs. And every time I called him, he was at a baseball game, he was at an Avalanche game, he was just hanging out. And I was like, I can do that. I like to look at houses. Everybody likes to look at houses. They don't tell you what all really goes into it.
Yeah.
So then we moved up here in 2005, had a 2-year-old, and left literally everything, left our state job, sold our businesses, kept our house, which was a smart investment, and came up here and started real estate. And it's been an amazing journey that looking back on it, I'm so grateful that I've had the opportunity to have this journey. But it's been a wild ride since 2005 till now.
Wow. So you got into it just a few years before the big crash. And so tell me about that journey. So, and by the way, Salida is a mountain town in Colorado as well. So it's what, southwest of Colorado Springs?
Yes, southwest of Colorado Springs, about 2 hours, about 100 miles in the mountains, in the valley.
Beautiful
Close
up
to
there.
Monarch Ski Resort. It's beautiful.
Yes.
So,
Beautiful, beautiful place.
yes.
And so is Colorado Springs. Colorado Springs is also a very beautiful place.
Colorado Springs is magical. We actually took a drive through Garden of the Gods this weekend because we're like, we live in such a beautiful place that we need to go just drive through it. We should have taken some time to hike through it, but we were just like, let's just drive through it and be like, oh my gosh, this is so inspiring. Even to the fact that Garden of the Gods is free to anybody who wants to visit it is amazing because it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's just a fun fact about Garden of the Gods. So when people are asked to rank the best city parks in the country, number 1 is almost always Central Park in New York, and number 2 is Garden of the Gods, right in Colorado Springs. It's
and they're both free parks that you don't have to pay to get into, which is amazing.
So tell me about when you guys moved to Colorado Springs, say a 2-year-old. How long had you been doing real estate then?
So we started in 2005. I had never done real estate. And my father-in-law had a really amazing opportunity. He got into a network marketing thing. And, the ones that make the money are the ones that start off at the bottom. And he happened to hit it big. And so he was like, real estate's fun, but I think I'm going to do this over here. And so he left right after we moved here, about 2 months into it. And we weren't angry. We weren't mad. We were just like, good for you. We can't fault that. But we were like, no sphere. We're not from here. We don't know anybody. We don't know how to get business, but I was like, we're going to do okay. And thankfully I had amazing mentors that kind of took me under their wing, taught me the right way to do contracts, taught me the right way to talk to clients, because none of that is stuff that you're taught in school. And they just mentored me for many, many years on, in real estate, there's a way to do things, sometimes the easy way or the right way.
Mm.
And probably much like everything in life, but in real estate, it happens, I feel, more frequently than in life. Maybe I'm wrong. But and so we learned at a really early age in business to do things the right way, not the easy way. Even though the easy way may not be the wrong way, but it's a little bit of a gray way,
Mm.
if that makes sense. And so really never taking the gray, taking what's right. And so that was amazing. And I'm so grateful for the mentorship that I had, that I feel really made me into the realtor that I feel that I am today. Obviously not perfect, but we always try to do what's best for our colleagues and most importantly for our clients that choose us to represent them in their biggest financial decision. It's really important that it goes right. Someone just texted me that they're listening to the Revolve interview now.
That's awesome. Yeah, so that's great. So you were just talking to me very, very briefly for about 30 seconds before we started the broadcast here. I think you guys sold 8 houses over the weekend, you said?
Yes.
So,
So we're at 36 closed and pending right now for the year.
and it's just just past the middle of January for those listening to this recorded.
Yes. Last year we ended the year at 360, which is an amazing year. And the way that we built our team, obviously I'm kind of jumping ahead because I was a solo agent for a really long time. Started the team about 6 years ago. It was really organic the way that we've done everything on our team. And so that's been amazing to just see that progression as organic growth versus, we hire to the gap, not to the potential gap down the road that we don't have the need for.
Hmm.
And so people like to say that we have a Navy SEAL team because we run really low. We're doing 360 sales with 8 of us
Mm-hmm.
in Colorado Springs, which, as you know, is not, it's a big city, but it's a really small town.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty tight knit community for its size, especially because there's really only a few industries that make up a lot of what goes on in Colorado Springs. Military being the biggest, probably, right, in terms of moving in and out.
Yes.
So
I'm so thankful that Missy's listening to our podcast right now. I'm getting texts from people. So
that's funny.
awesome. Yes.
Okay, so you did 360 last year. So talk to me a little bit about that journey, because what we're focusing on here in January of this year, as a company, Realvolve, we're focused on transformations, and we're trying to help. Our mission as a real estate CRM is to help people transform their business into something better for them. And a lot of people get to this place where they plateau and they want to go to the next level, but they feel like it's a plateau. When I think in reality, everything is kind of a stepping up over time, and every step feels like a plateau unless you can figure out how to break through that. So on the thread of transformation, talk to me about, let's rewind back in time, 2005, because I know since then you started a team about 6 years ago, and then this month you're already at 36 closed and pending. So what happened between 2005 and about 6 years ago while you were a solo agent?
Gosh, lots of things happened. So the company that I was working for when the crash happened, we had, I believe, about 30, 40 offices in Arizona. And obviously when the crash happened, it hit Arizona really, really hard. And I did not want to leave the company that I was working for, but the bankruptcy judge made him get rid of Colorado Springs, even though we were the only company for him producing. And so we literally waited for the judge to say, nope, you got to leave. We got to shut the doors, because we were going to stand by him through thick and thin. We believed in him. We believed in what he was doing. So that happened when the market crashed. Our company that we worked for had to claim bankruptcy and close down, which was devastating because we loved our broker. our broker that mentored me sold to another company. So it was this company that had hard times and just wasn't able to adjust from the Arizona market quick enough, just could not get rid of those offices quick enough. And so I went to work at the company that I'm at now. And so obviously the market was turning. I was a new agent. I was trying to establish a sphere, I'll never forget when one of my mentors said to me, you need to pick a demographic of a client you want to work with. Now we call them avatars, but back then we didn't call them avatars. Who's the avatar of the client you want to work with? And I'm like, I can get from one end of the city to the other in 20 minutes. I want to work with everybody. I love everybody. And he was like, no, you got to pick one. And I'm like, I'm not picking one. I refuse. That's ridiculous. But as I've been in this journey, like it really has come true, because there's a certain client that you work with that really puts fire in your belly. And when you help them and when you do a great job for all of your clients, you have this feeling. But when you really help your avatar, it's something completely magical that you can't even explain. And so identifying that avatar of the client that we want to work with, that we choose to work with, was really a foundational point for us to say, like, this is who I'm going to focus on in this hard market. I'm going to focus on the avatar of this client. Obviously life happened to us. I had a little boy that passed away in 2008. So in the midst of the market crashing, being new to Colorado Springs, not being from here, giving up amazing jobs, and then my son passing away, I was like, I'm not sure what's going on here, but what I do know is that as I look back on that journey now, everybody says that things happen for a reason, but that's because they have never been through something hard enough. That makes that not a true statement, in my opinion. But in every tragedy and in every hardship that people have, you can find meaning to what happened. It doesn't make it okay and it doesn't make it right, but you can find some meaning to it once time kind of heals a little bit. Time will never heal everything. But as I look back on where I was in 2008, I realized that the people that surrounded me and the people that loved me and the people that stood by me were obviously my friends and my family. But the people that I remember from the funeral were my clients that came out. And that was powerful because they didn't have to come around. I sold them a house or I helped them buy a house. They didn't have to be there, but it was more than just a transaction. We were friends. And that's powerful because not only did I help them and assist them, but they impacted my life and I impacted their lives. And that's really at the heart of really who we are. And so obviously I don't want to make this a sad podcast because it's not, but my clients are the people that surrounded me when times got tough, when I didn't even know to ask them to come around and support us. And that's amazing. And I'm still friends with my very first client that I helped buy a home. I'm still really great friends with her. And that's really at the heart of who we are, is like that stuff is like, oh my gosh, you saved my business card from 2005 when I looked like I was 12 years old. That's so nice. So that is really at the heart of who we are and how we kind of progress through that journey. And when we started the team, that's before teams were really a thing.
Sure.
I just knew that I had more leads than I knew what to do with. And I had done a deal with a realtor. And normally when we're new, we were all new at one time, you can kind of tell when someone's new because they're like, hold on, let me get back to you. I don't know. Can you help me? And I did a transaction with my very first sales partner who's still on the team. Her name's Leanne. And we did the transaction. And when it closed, she finally accepted my friend request on Facebook. And she was like, I just had my first transaction. And I was like, that was your first transaction? Man, you killed it. And I was like, I want to meet you for coffee. Like, I just want to say you're amazing. And so she thought that she was going to recruit me over to her company. And she was like, I am going to profit share off of her. And she's a big producer and this is going to be great. And I was thinking, I just want to meet you. And so we started talking. I was like, can I send you leads to the company that you work for? Because I don't know what this is, but I have more than what I can do. And you did an amazing job. And so it just really worked. But then when she realized how much she was paying for splits, she realized that it'd be better for her to come over and join me. So she's the one that actually initiated and said, can I join you over at your company and can we, start a team? And I'm like, sure, let's try this. I don't even know what this is, but I like you and I think you do great with our clients, so let's do that. And
So
that's
that's
really
like the best. That's like the best recruiting tactic that I've ever heard. Just start giving them leads. That's all you got to do is
right.
give them leads before they're even on your team.
Well, and they have to be the right fit, right?
Yeah.
Because um, for us, we really look at who fits our minimum standards, who fits our core values, who believes in the same thing that we're doing. And those are the people that we want to recruit and work to, because we don't want to just have people just take leads. We want to have people that I can say to my past clients and my friends who I obviously love and respect and want to make sure things go well. Like, I would use them. I trust them. And that's everything to me. Because if I wouldn't use you, I'm not going to have you work on the team.
So that was back in 2012, 2013.
Yeah, when we started all of that. So in the meantime, from 2005 to when we started the team, I was just doing my own thing. I had gone through a couple of assistants. I really found some mentors and colleagues as a solo agent that we could cover each other and help each other when things came up. Obviously, I took my phone with me on vacations, but just when things kind of, when you got sick, someone that could just hop in and kind of help things out a little bit was really good. But it's not as impactful as it is on a team. But you can find that as a solo agent, to find somebody who can cover your business so you can have a moment of breathing room and space. And so that was really successful for me as a solo agent, is to kind of have people that I could help and in return help them. And that was really great. I'm still really great friends with them because we did business similarly.
So, how did you? So let me ask you this: what does your team look like today? So I know there's 8 of you.
There's 8 of us in sales. We're actually interviewing for somebody new right now. We have another one starting in February that's moving down from Oregon. So we are going to expand a little bit, but again, it's been very organic.
Okay.
We've tried really the traditional hiring route, but it has never worked for us. We've needed to find somebody who just comes to us organically, because that's where we find our best fits. We also have a virtual assistant. I have an assistant who also works the front desk. We have someone that handles all of the financials, a listing manager, and a transaction coordinator. And then we also have a marketing person. So we really, I think, run super lean. This year I decided to take on more accountability. So I'm actually the ops manager as well.
Wow.
And selling, last year I sold 125 houses. This year I decided to cut that back to 100. So we'll see if I can hold myself to that. Because there's just something about it, like yesterday I was like, oh, I got to sell this house. I got to make sure that, we're not leaving any other offers on the table. Like, there's just something exciting about that. So it's hard to walk away from that and do the ops side, but it's a good balance when you're running something bigger than yourself.
So are you working with buyers personally?
Yeah.
Okay.
Occasionally I will work with, because I work a lot of new construction. So sometimes I'll be on the new side as well. But typically I don't work the buy side at all. It has to be a special circumstance.
Yeah. Good for you. That's great. So then,
but I love them. They're happy. They're grateful. I love them.
Yeah. In a lot of ways it's easier. And people complain about buyers all the time, but yeah, that's half of all real estate transactions. There's always one buyer for every seller, at least, right?
It is. And the thing about buyers, like, you've always heard the thing like buyers are liars, but they're not. What you need to do is sit back, take yourself out of it, and understand, first of all, what they're really looking for. And second of all, get them in so they can see if that is really what they're looking for. And third, find out what their hot buttons are and adjust to fit their needs. Because I think I'm a perfect example of that. When we were looking for our house, I was like, I want a rancher and I want everything on the main level. That's what I want. I don't want to carry laundry up and down. Okay, that sounds logical. Well, I have a two-story and my laundry's on the main level. That's what I ended up buying. And I'm a realtor. But I ended up buying that because in the course of the journey, I realized that the lot was more important to me.
Hmm.
I needed to have Pikes Peak out the back window. I needed to have open space around me, and I wanted to have one neighbor. But until I got in and really started looking, I didn't know what I wanted. I thought I knew what I wanted, but that wasn't really what fit where we were at that time. So, does that mean that I'm a liar? No, it just means that once I started looking, I realized what I was really looking for and I realized what the hot buttons are. That's why we spend a lot of time focused on people's different personality types. Because as a driver personality, the one thing that will make me not want to choose to work with someone in a professional setting is if I feel like I'm being taken advantage of.
Sure.
That is a driver thing. You do not want to make them feel like they're being taken advantage of. And so that's something, taking everybody's personalities, putting them into a bucket and making sure that you're adapting to where they need to be. So if someone's really analytical and they send you 15 paragraphs of questions that they have, you have to adapt yourself to make sure that you're answering all of those questions in detail because that's important to them. Whereas with the driver personality, you can send them, okay, and they get it. So it's just adapting yourself to different personalities. So that's something that I've always told my team, like, I never want to hear you guys say that because that means that you're not doing right by our clients.
Hmm.
And you're not staying true to having a servant's heart, which is what we have to have.
So, and I've heard a lot of people talk about again, I've heard a lot about you because I know so many people that work at the brokerage that you work at. And I have heard so many kind things about you said by other people. And I was just at a meeting down in Colorado Springs last week with a team down there, really great clients of ours. And my real estate agent that helped me buy my house a few years ago is at the same brokerage you're at. And I met the broker owner of your brokerage maybe 6 years ago, probably. And I've been doing real estate technology for about 6 years in Colorado. And everybody always talks about your attitude and the mindset. So is there something deliberate there that you have sought after, developed in yourself? Do you feel like it's something you were partially born with? Talk to me about that.
No, here's what it comes down to, and I'm just going to shoot it really straight. So when I was new in the business and I was trying to find ways of doing things and trying to figure out from the top producers in the city how to do things, some of the top producers were really helpful. I'm not looking for their secrets of where they get their business from or anything like that. But I learned a lot about people when I would go to them and say, hey, can I buy you lunch? And can you just tell me about how do you know when it's time to hire an assistant? How do you know when it's right to do this? Those are not questions that are hurting anybody's business. And the responses that I got from people were varied. And in that course of a journey, I realized that if I ever made it, for lack of a better words, like if I ever was successful in my eyes and people came to me for help, I would do my best to help them. Sometimes I run out of time and I can't do it, but I would help them because I remember what it was like when other people wouldn't help me answer basic questions.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really a shame. And it really taught me a lot. Like, I'm not bashing their business or how they do things, but I realized very quickly, like, the way they do things is not the way that I want to do things. And it doesn't make it right or wrong. It just makes it different. And I wanted to be different moving forward. And I wanted to come, like I went to a lunch one time with my broker and another team, and I was asking them, like, how do you know when you hire an assistant? And what kind of jobs do you really have assistants do for you? And I wanted to ask real questions. I didn't want to go Google it. I wanted to ask somebody in my marketplace, like, how do you do this? How does it work? What's going on? And when they kind of shut the door, I was like, okay, I won't go that direction and ask for help anymore. I'll go this direction to get the help that I need, and for people to ask questions and mentor. Everything in business, especially when you're an entrepreneur, is who is your mentor and who is helping you reach that next level. You have to have a mentor of some type, whether it's your broker, whether it's a colleague. you have to have somebody that can be your mentor. And so that for me was something that was really, really important. And another thing that that I was just talking to my team about is accountability. You have to be accountable, and people don't want to be accountable, and they don't want to have hard conversations, and they don't want to say that they're sorry. And that's a shame because, and I always tell my team, in every situation, there's something to learn. And there's something that you could do better. Even if you don't feel you were at fault, there was something to learn from that. And you have to be accountable to that because our clients are expecting us to handle their money and do what's right for them and take care of them. And we have to do what's right. And people don't want to be accountable. And that's a shame because it's part of life and it's part of growing. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but we've had a lot of conversations with people over the last couple of weeks of just, man, you got to own it. I would cuss right now, but I'm not going to. Like, you got to own it.
I mean, it sounds like a combination of things then. So, I mean, because I heard you mention basically the golden rule where you want to treat others the way that you wished you were treated. And it sounds like you were treated the way that you want to be treated sometimes and not others. And then also, you need to find a really good mentor to help you navigate through some tricky decisions that you have to make. So,
and here's the other thing. Here's one more thing I wanted to say. It's also like, as this is probably one of my biggest pet peeves. When I was a brand new agent and I was working with some of the top, I mean, we have big, big producers in this city. We have amazing realtors in the city all over the country. There are amazing realtors every single day. But I never looked at those realtors and was like, I'm going to take your business. I'm going to knock you out. I'm going to take everything from you. I was like, good for them for doing such a good job and having their niche. I want to find my niche. I don't want to take away what you have, but I want to find my own. And I find that so many realtors spend so much time worried about what other people are doing versus worried about like keeping, like I do my business plan based off of my growth and where I see things going versus what other people are doing. I think people spend so much time worried about what other people are doing or what social media shows them that other people are doing that they're not focused on their journey and their growth. And the Michael Phelps thing of like winners, you know, where he's swimming and his competitors looking over at him. I'm like, I want to be Michael Phelps. I want to focus on my team and our growth and obviously come from a place of help, but I never want us to spend time worrying about what other people are doing or what their numbers are or being jealous or envious of things that we can't control. And I feel like so many people spend so much time on that, that it's a shame. Like even with social media, it breeds so much like, oh my gosh, their life is perfect. Nobody's life is perfect. You just don't want to blast your stuff out online. And the people that do sometimes are criticized a little bit for that. So everybody has stuff going on. It's just finding your path and your journey that works for you and not spending time looking at people's MLS stats. Like, please go call a lead, go take someone out to lunch. Don't look up other people's stats. It's ridiculous. So
yeah, I heard there was a professional speaker that I heard, and I wish I remembered who this was, but they were talking about, they worked with several technology companies or working with Microsoft and some other big companies. And when they went to go work with those people, they noticed that they had the competition was a big part of their strategy training. They brought up facts about the competition, what they were doing. And then he went and worked with Apple and he asked them about what about your competition? Are you guys going to spend any time talking about what your competition's doing so you understand how to react? And they said, we don't spend any time thinking about our competition. We only look forward to what we're trying to accomplish, what goals we have and where we want to take our technology. It's not about our competitors. That's
at all. And the biggest competitor that if you want to call it a competitor, the team that runs the most similar to us, the team that has the closest culture to us, the team lead and I, we're great friends. We go to lunch together. Like we love each other. Our stats are very similar. We're in the same coaching program, but I have respect for him and he has respect for me. And we're the two that actually compete the most. We compete on listings. Sometimes we win, sometimes they win. We compete on numbers, but it's a friendly, healthy, collaborative, competition, if you will, for lack of a better word. It's really not though, because they're doing their journey and we're doing our journey and they're not the same. but yet they are, because we're still all doing the same end goal, which is doing the best for our clients. That's really who, you know, who we compete against. Is we're great friends with them. And that's why one of the things that we do every year is we have a party for the realtors that we loved working with in the previous year. Like the realtors that we were like, man, you just rocked it out of this park. We loved working with you. We want to do that again. We have a party for them. It's coming up in March. We're going to have this party. So invitations we're going to pass out. But we want to thank them for being amazing colleagues and coworkers in this crazy, crazy space we call real estate. And I don't think a lot of people, you know, they look at it as, I represent my client and you represent your client and we're going to battle all the way through. It's like, no, I still represent my client and you still represent your client, but we can do it in a collaborative way and keep the emotion out of it and do what's right for our clients and get it to the closing table, because at the end of the day, it was never about us anyway.
Yeah, so many businesses are really based on a win-win transaction, and the real estate is a perfect example. Both the buyer and the seller and their agents, as a result, can win because you're mutually, you have mutual goals. You want to sell the property that I want to pay for, and so that win-win mentality can really percolate into the team. I was talking to my brother last week. He's an attorney. He's not in a win-win situation. It's a win-lose. They're trying to beat somebody else in court, and to me, that sounds miserable. What we do in real estate is totally different, and we can transfer that win-win attitude to the team within our office, in the brokerage, and in the community. I love what you're doing with your annual party. That's great.
Yeah, that's one of the funnest things that we do. We had it last year, and it was fun to see a collaboration. Like everybody left their brokerages and their agenda at the door, and we just had a great time. And it wasn't about anything other than sharing fun stories, us thanking them for a great year. And there's realtors, like I want to be one of the realtors. And there's realtors that I could think of right now that when you say their names, you're like, I love them. Like they do a great job. I love what they stand for. I love them. And that's who I strive to be in this market. Am I perfect? Do I always do things right? No, I don't. But that at the end of the day is what I want to achieve. And so I look at them as mentors of like, gosh, he does a great job. I want to be more, I want to have some more of those traits built into my personality.
That's awesome. So tell me about, let's talk a little bit about your team for a minute. So, because I know you guys do run a lean, tight ship. So talk to me about how you guys get that done. I mean, how are you doing so many transactions with such a small staff, both on the agent side and on the support staff side?
So it all comes down to really holding true to our core values. And one thing that I tell the team is we will never say, this is the way we've always done it. I will never say that. I will revise everything and we'll change everything. We will never say, oh yeah, we tried that, but it didn't work. It's like, well, it may not have worked at that time. We may have learned new strategies to make that happen. So for us, we have a morning routine as a team. So everybody has their morning routines that they do for their family, for themselves, whatever, but we have a morning routine for our team. And that's been really powerful for us because we meet each other where we're at for the day. So we come in at 8:45 every morning and we do a check-in. We literally stand in a circle and we talk about what our win was, what our success was, what we wanted to accomplish, what we're grateful for. And we share all of that personally and professionally of what we want to accomplish for that day. And then we go over an objection that we had over the weekend or the day before. And so everybody will share an objection, not coming from a place of, well, this happened and I'm going to complain about it. It's like, hey, this came up. How should I handle this? Or here's how I handled it. And because everybody has a different personality, they're able to interject things, to think about ways to do things differently. And then we go into script practice. Realtors don't want to script practice, but when they don't script practice, they're practicing on their clients, which is not okay. You're helping people with hundreds of thousands of dollars. You should not be practicing on them. So we script practice every day just on ways to do things, how to handle objections, different ways of looking at things. So we do that together all as a group. And then everybody is basically free to do another power hour or go out on appointment. So our minimum standard is they have to do one future hour is what we call it. They have to do one future hour a day. If they don't have an appointment, then they need to do another future hour a day. So 2 minimum to just stay ahead of it. And so my favorite thing to say is Christmas is a day. Thanksgiving is a day. It's not a month. And so when we were at our old office, I would tell the team, look at our parking lot. We work at one of the biggest brokerages in town and the parking lot is empty. Like this is when we are going to make money because people are home and they are getting ready. And this is the time for us to make our calls to say, if nothing else, happy Thanksgiving. We wish you all the best. Like not everything has to be a sales call. It can be, we were thinking of you and wanted to wish you Merry Christmas or Happy Hanukkah or Happy New Year or whatever the case may be. We're coming from a place of, hey, we were thinking of you. Not everything has to be a sales call.
So then so 8:45, that's 5 days a week?
Yes.
Monday through Friday. And then how is the accountability work then? So does everybody have a goal that they're working towards? Are you asking the team about their future hour? Did they work on it yesterday? Are they working on it today? How do you handle that?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously they're independent contractors, so they don't technically have to come in at 8:45. The thing is that they choose to come in at 8:45, and as we poll the team every year before we do our retreat, like what do you love the most? They love our check-in the most because we get to collaborate and share as a group. And even though I've been in the business the longest, I learn from them every single day because of the different ways that they have it looking at things. So then what we do is we have all of them, they have to do a business plan because you're not in business if you don't have a business plan. And so they write down their business plan. They set their own goals. Of course, we want to see an increase of some sort, but we also take into like what's going on in their life. So when one of my sales partners was getting ready to have a baby, we're obviously not going to increase her sales because she's going to have a baby and things are going to be crazy for a minute. So we have the team set their own goals, which is good. And then we adjust the team based off of those goals. And then once they have their business plan broken down, we review it with them. But then we also break it down into a 90-day action plan. So they all have 90-day action plans that they're on right now. And then we have one-on-ones every single week. We alternate between myself and the sales manager to touch base with them on the things, first of all, that they said that they wanted to be held accountable to, not the things that I think they should be held accountable to because it's their business. But what do they want to be held accountable to? And then actually holding them to that, myself included. And it's everything from meal prepping to going to the gym, to running, to door knocking, circle dialing, following up with so many past clients. It's all over the range. It's whatever they want it to be. And so we really have a lot of success from our 90-day business plans. And then we have, I'll just show you kind of mine a little bit. Mine's a little bit differently, but we always do like a forecast board. So we do a forecast board of what we need to do for the month. And then for them, they have it broken down by what they want to do for each month of appointments gone on, buyers closed, how many calls they've made. And then we do tracking. So we have a tracking software that tracks what they do every single day, just so that we can say to them, if things kind of get off rail, like, well, the reason why you're not successful is because you haven't been following up with anybody. Well, I know, but I had these transactions under contract. Yeah, but that's not going to get you anywhere 90 days from now. You have to start nurturing people and coming from a place of help now. One thing I also always tell the team is, you know, when you walk into an apartment into an apartment store and they're like, can I help you find anything? And you're like, I don't know. I just walked in. I want to see what's going on in here. I want to check something out. And so then you start walking around and you're like looking at things and then you're like, oh my gosh, I love that sweater, for example. And it's on the top rack. And I'm pretty tall, but I probably shouldn't like climb up there and hoist myself up to get it. So I should probably get someone. And then sometimes when you go to look for someone, they're not there. And you're like, man, I just need this sweater up here. Or sometimes they're standing right there and you're like, oh, thank you. I'm so glad you're here. Can you get me this in a size small? And they're like, great, no problem. So they bring it over to you. that's the way that I feel about real estate. Like sometimes when first people do their search online or they start looking, they're just trying to figure out like, is this right? Do we like anything out there? What's going on? So being there through that time is really where it's important, because it's not until they're ready to go, okay, I like this one. I like this. I want more information from this. That's when you're able to step in and come from a place of help. But you should just always kind of be there, not being pushy, not having commission breath, but coming from a place of, if you need information on anything, I can get it to you. If you want me to video it, I can. You know what I love the most is, as I'm talking to you right now, my sales team is in the other room. The doors are shut and you can just hear them cracking up together. Like they are having an amazing time. And I love that, because they're in the middle of interviewing someone right now, because they hire, I don't. And it's so cool to hear them like just having a great time. Like that's what life is about, is just them having a great time.
That's great. It's a great reward. Very satisfying when
It
you've got a
is.
team
And
that is also succeeding in life.
exactly. And that's what it's all about. A little joke that we have, I mean, we have some men on the team, so they don't really like this, but I tell the women on the team, like, I'm raising sugar mamas. So we are sugar mamas and we're ready to take on the world. And the best part about that is we have successful, confident partners that are able to allow us to do that.
Yeah, that's killer.
Yeah.
So, what are you using then? What are you using to track? Are you guys putting stuff in a spreadsheet then to track your daily activities, or how are you able to look up what is going on with the team?
Yeah, so we use CTE, and then we have Google Forms that we have them fill out before the one-on-ones, like agendas for coaching. We want to see what they're doing. But the other thing that we do is we also want them to tell us what they need and what they want from us. So that's part of the agenda as well, is not perceiving that we know where they want to go, or not perceiving that we know everything, but like, tell us what you want, because we can build this to whatever you want. Like the biggest thing about being and having a team is they don't have to just be one thing. Like there's no ceiling on what they want to do. We can build this thing to whatever the team wants it to be. So if they want to have a team within a team, if they want to have an assistant, if they want to just do listings, if they want to just work with investors, we can facilitate whatever it is that their dreams are. And it's so rewarding to see their dreams come true. Our dreams getting fulfilled is amazing, but seeing their dreams come true is sometimes even better.
So then when you're looking at your team's performance last year, because you just said earlier that you did probably personally 125 listings last year, you want to take it down to 100 this year so that you can be ops manager. And you mentioned the word accountability when you said you want to be ops manager. So why, like, how do you come to that conclusion as a team leader? What are you thinking is going to be the result of you doing fewer transactions and stepping into the accountability role more?
Yeah, so I think it comes down to, last year I had kind of an epiphany where I was at a listing appointment, and I just didn't feel like I was presenting my best self. Like I was, but I didn't love the presentation anymore. And I realized that I was so busy working in the business that I wasn't working on the business. And I wasn't utilizing the systems and platforms that we have to the best of their ability that we can. Because like Realvolve, for example, I know you're not here to really push Realvolve, but we love Realvolve. And it's such a robust system that you have to spend some time like diving into everything that it will do for you. It's user friendly, it's easy to use, but you have to take some time to figure out what it does and how you want it to work for you. And I realized that I wasn't doing that.
Yeah, it can be a very abstract exercise to say, what could I be doing better? What could be automated? And who should be doing what? It takes some abstract thought to pause, step away from the business for maybe a few hours, maybe a day, and say, this is what I think I should be doing, with a tool like Realvolve where it can automate things, but I have to tell it what to do.
Right. And I have to listen to the team as far as what they want it to do as well, and not assume that I know everything and I have all the answers, because I don't. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And I'm totally in the right room because I'm not the smartest person on the team.
So you
I
have
may
the
be the
team.
feistiest, but I'm not the smartest.
So you have the team, really, you lean on the team a lot then for feedback. Hey, what are we doing with Realvolve, for example? What are we doing with this other technology? What could we be doing differently? The team gives you feedback. Who's in charge of actually executing on these ideas then? Is there one person on your team that really owns Realvolve?
Yes, there is one person on our team that owns Realvolve. We actually sent her to the Realvolve training,
Hmm.
and she loved it. We need another one, so please have another one very soon, because it just does so much. Like last year, we realized that we could send settlement statements and we can automate it.
Hmm.
And what we were having to print last year and make the letter for and send out, we did today via email, and everybody loved it. And then we could make the follow-up phone calls to say, hey, we just wanted to follow up to make sure you got this, to make sure it didn't go into your spam, but it was another great touch point for us. That saved us tremendous amounts of time, but we didn't know that until we went to that training. It's just little nuggets you pick up here and there that as you build on them, they make things really robust and amazing. So
How much time would you say that one thing saves?
3 days.
Wow.
By the time you print them, you sign all the letters, you double check the addresses, you put them in the envelopes, you sent like 3 days, 3 days of work. It took her a couple of hours, and that was just double checking addresses because we had put it in there from the very beginning to the end of the year. So that was tremendous. And it helps people. Like, we're not doing that for a sale, we're doing that to help people with their taxes because now it's tax time.
Right.
So yeah, that saved us days,
Yeah,
literally days.
it's so much fun to think about the things you could do to be a little bit more over the top with your customer service, the things that you like doing that you would want to do, but the whirlwind, the day to day starts to
Yeah,
creep in on you, and the things that are less urgent get thrown by the wayside.
yeah. So
That's great.
that was one of the biggest takeaways we got from that. So we do have one person that is designated to do Revolve, but it's also taking a collaboration of different people getting different information to say, okay, well, I heard this trick that Revolve does, and I think that would be great for our team. You try that and let us know what we need to do to make that work for our team.
Yeah,
So
and you touched on. I mean, we've been talking a lot about accountability for the last 20 minutes, but one of the things that one of the questions I get all the time, maybe there's an admin or a transaction coordinator on the team that understands how cleaning up the CRM, using the CRM more robustly, whether it's ours or somebody else's, can help the team overall. And then the team leaders bought in. They say, "Yeah, I do need a better system." And then they ask me, "How do I get the rest of my team to use this? How do I get my buyers agents to use this? How do I get buy-in?" Um, what's your advice to a team leader like that?
yes. So the way that we get buy-in on everything is that it's very simple. Like, I don't make the decision.
Hmm.
I give input, I give my suggestions, I give my feedback. I'll mastermind with other people across the country to see what they're doing that are top realtors. And we'll like A B test some systems to see which one we like better. Um, but I don't make that decision. So we had another CRM that we were using before Realvolve, and we liked it. But when we looked at the things that Realvolve was doing, we realized we were missing a lot. But I didn't make that decision to switch over to Realvolve. The admin team made that decision after doing research on this one does this one does this. They made that decision. So when they make that decision, now they have ownership.
Hmm.
On our team, we do not have renters. You either have the ownership mentality or you're not on our team. So a lot of teams, they put up with, like, they're like, oh, I have these B players. Like, you focus so much percentage on, the B players on your team. I don't want to do that. If you don't inspire me and I don't inspire you, and we don't lift each other up every single day, then there's lots of other places that you can have success at. It doesn't mean that my place was wrong or bad. It just means that we weren't the right fit for each other. And so we always go back to our core values. And our core values, one of our core values is yes minded. And so when people are asked to do things that they don't want to do, obviously they're ethical. But if you're not yes minded, there's nothing we can do about that. And we wish you success in other places.
But you don't
So,
want that slowing your team down, so it's not.
no. No,
Yeah.
we can't. We have such a good energy and such a good vibe. Like I can still hear them out cracking up. I don't know what they're saying to her right now. I'm kind of scared to know. But that's who I want to surround myself with is people that are not, the market's hard. The market was hard last year. The market is hard this year, but it's what you make of it. And I just really want them to focus on the good of the market
I
because
love
there's
it.
a lot of good in this market.
Yeah, and there's enough for everybody. I like your attitude about working with other agents in town too.
Absolutely.
So you guys are going to grow this year. How do you approach growth then? How do you set goals with the team and for yourself?
Yes. So they set their own goals. I don't set goals for them. I encourage them. I support them. I mentor them. I find out what gaps they need to be filled. And then I work hard on bringing in people that can support to those gaps. But I just think that we surround ourselves with attainable goals that we can hit. And when we hit them, we party like rock stars. We are getting ready the middle of next month to go to Mexico for 4 days and to just have fun as a team. Like this weekend, I spent so much time with the team, and then on Sunday I missed them. That's crazy because we went and played whirly ball. Our culture committee put together a whirly ball event for us. Have you played whirly ball yet?
No, I have no
Oh,
idea what that
we're
is.
all going to play whirly ball, and it is so much fun. I got a fat lip. It was so much fun. You're in like bumper cars, and it's kind of like lacrosse, and you have the wiffle ball, and you're trying to hit it into like what would be a basket, the backboard of the basket, but not the hoop.
Got
And
it.
once you hit it into the circle, then you score points. But you're not allowed to hit other people. You're not allowed to kick other people. I may have done both, but it was out of love and kindness.
Okay, I'm
But
definitely going to have to Google this. So there's a place in Colorado Springs to play whirly ball then?
yes, and you
That's
have drinks and you have food, and there's a bowling alley, and it's so much fun. We need to all go play whirly ball. But we did whirly ball, and then we went to the fight Saturday night and just had great time together, but still working really hard. So
mm,
our team has a really good balance of work-life balance, but they're people that not only do I want to work with, but they're people that if I called any one of them to help me, or if they called me to help them, I'd drop everything to help them.
wow.
And that's something that's really impactful. And that's who I dream and I wish everybody could surround themselves with. And we don't have the same political views. We don't have the same religious beliefs. But we leave all that at the door because at the end of the day, we're good people. We're not perfect, but we're good people. And we laugh and have a lot of fun together and work hard. Because as you know, being in this business can take you out in a second. And you have
Yes.
to be able to like release some steam when your clients are upset, but they're not upset with you. They're upset because they're having hardships. Like one of my clients, her husband literally just passed away unexpectedly, suddenly. She cries, and we come from a place of trying to help her. And we do, but there's just sometimes where you just need like a moment of like, that was tough. And I know she's not upset with me, and I know she's not upset at the situation. She's just having a tough time. And how can I come alongside of her to help her, to make sure that she knows that we're doing the best job we can for her? Sometimes you just need like a minute,
Mhm.
and sometimes not everything's that drastic. Like sometimes you walk into a house and you're like, they have 47 cats that use us as their litter box. That was the grossest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like you have to laugh a little bit because everybody gets into real estate saying, I like houses, but they're not all HGTV houses.
Right. Well, and people I love that attitude that you just shared because when we realize our own flaws, it's easy for us to make allowances for other people to be having a bad day. It's so easy to see somebody at their worst and then extrapolate out that mood to their whole life and say, that's just a bad person. This is how they are. But when we look inward at our own challenges, our own struggles, our own ups and downs, it makes it much easier for us to allow for somebody else to be having a bad day or be going through a tragedy like your client. And when we
Yeah.
do that, it gives us so much more patience. It helps us to love our clients so much more, and it helps us to bounce back from any hardship that we're experiencing ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
especially like with our clients, this is a military community. We have 5 military installations. And while I have 2 brother-in-laws that are out of the military now, but we're active duty, um, when you look at what they actually like sacrifice and what they do on a day-to-day basis on a personal level, it just gives you such insight, a brief glimpse into what they do. And so hiring military spouses is one of the proudest things I have on this team.
Hmm.
And being taking that burden off of them is so important. Like there's been times where when they're getting ready to deploy, they have little deployment bears and deployment books that they'll give to the kids so they can talk to them and know what to say to them. And I've been there with clients when they've done that. I've been there with clients when they welcomed home their loved ones. Um, and I'd end up crying worse than the military spouse did. And I'm like, I'm not meant to be a military spouse because I was crying and you're consoling me and your husband's the one leaving. Like, not my thing, but you just see so much like love and respect for them. And that's who you want to work with and who you want to be, with them, is that that if you do things right, you're going to take so much stress and burden off of them. And that's just really at the heart of like who we are, is like being along for those moments and journeys as well. And I know I'm totally sidetracking you to what you wanted to talk about. I'm sorry about that.
You're not sidetracking me at all.
Sorry.
No, what I hear is
I need some meat and potatoes out of this. So let's get down to some tactics.
Yeah, I'm trying to get very tactical, but what I hear is you love people a lot more than you love homes. It's not about the business, it's not about the numbers, it's about people, both in your team and around in the community. And
Yes.
even the agents that aren't on your team that are competitors, you love them, and that's extremely. It's very inspiring to hear you talk about people like that.
Thank you for wrapping that all back together because I felt like it was just crazy. So thank you for wrapping that all back together.
No,
You
that's
put
fine.
a nice box.
Well, that's what we just wanted to have a conversation and get to know you. And like I said, we hear so much about you in the community, and me being in Colorado Springs and being around agents down there for so long. I've always heard so many things about you. I've met people on your team, but I've never had the pleasure of talking to you. So I really, really appreciate your time here today, Treasure. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm really looking forward to having another one of your team members at our next Realvolve training. And I'm especially looking forward to Whirly Ball, whatever that ends up being.
We are planning a date with because Realvolve and our team, we can have a competition, a friendly competition, but we get really aggressive, but it's all out of love.
Okay, so we need Whirly Ball practice. Needs to be scheduled so that we can. They already have an advantage on us.
Well, I don't know that I have an advantage on you because I may try to take the ball away from them, which you're not supposed to do, and you get penalties for that. But I feel like it's part of the game.
Well, there you go. All right. Well, thanks again, Treasure, for joining us. We're just over an hour now. And I just want to say again, thank you so much for spending some time with us. I know you're in meetings right before and right after this. So thanks for sacrificing a little bit to share your story with us. It's truly been inspiring for me. And I've got 2 pages of notes that I got to share with my team now. So thanks again. And please let us know if we can do anything to help you.
Whirly Ball. I'm going to hold you to it.
I'm planning on it.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
All right, Treasure. We'll talk soon.
Enjoy the beautiful weather today.
I know it was hot yesterday and it's nice today, but snow's coming.
It's coming this afternoon. It's going to get us.
It's going to
go buy some milk.
That's right. Thanks again, Treasure. Bye for now.